Hello everyone. It's James again. And before I start today's video, I just want to quickly say, all work in this video contains 100% original content of and by myself, James Smith, otherwise known as Bgood 4000, and was uniquely created with NAWMAL software, by myself, James Smith. As I purchased commercial rights from NAWMAL to produce my unique and original video with this software. Commentary is uniquely my own thoughts, feelings, and expressions. Now that I have that out of the way, I do hope your day is going way better than fantastic. And your journey to self-betterment is going way better than fantastic as well. Today I wanted to make a video answering a question that came from a subscriber. And I want to apologize, as when I replied to this subscriber the comment seemed to have vanished. So I'm not quite sure what happened. But I want to let you know, I got your question and thank you very much for asking. And that comment or question was addressing how narcissists infiltrate or do their narcissistic business in a church. And the answer just depends on what they are after. Well, we all know they want supply. But that supply can come in a few different ways. My narcissist mother, who is now deceased, she loved getting involved in the church because it gave her an outlet to get supply for being the victim of my father. You see, at least in my case, a narcissist parent might go to church or what seems to be honest reasons to get closer to God, and to make sure their children get to learn about the Lord. And over a short amount of time, they know they will start to talk to people there before or after services. And this will be prime time to share their sob story. And this allows those that want to do what they think is the right thing, and to offer their help. And narcissists know this fact. Now, my mother wasn't interested in power within the church at all. She was content being the one that always needs help. The problem began when my mother started to wear out her welcome, and every time they tried to get her to a point where she could at least make an effort to help herself, my mother would always have an excuse as to why she couldn't do what they were asking her to do in regards to self-betterment. After a while, her excuses, I believe, got old to them. And I believe they talked amongst each other and compared notes. And now my mother was getting negative attention. But it didn't matter to my mother. She would double and triple down in putting these people in uncomfortable positions and asking them for favors she had no business asking them for. You see, my mother loved being in a position of lack. Because lack means she could always position herself as a victim. And it was a position she was great at playing, and she quite liked playing. So much so it took over her life. And I think narcissists, based on how they are raised, find what position that works for them. And that is the position that you will find them playing more times than not. Now, can they switch things up? Sure. But they tend to go where they are most comfortable. And where they learn to get supply first and earliest in their life. You see, my narcissist mother's mother, my grandmother, started this trend in my mother, and enjoyed putting my mother in the victim role. Munchausen syndrome by proxy. And this is where I believe my mother learned helplessness and felt good about the supply she was getting. Whereas someone else might be different. They might be great at accounting and they take over every situation they can take over and use their accounting skills at. So they can have power over others. Now, this isn't to say that every church accountant is a narcissist. But if a narcissist is an accountant, they will find some way to throw out there in conversation that they are an accountant and they love donating their time. Maybe they might mention that they donate their time to helping the poor do their taxes for free. And before you know it, it turns into them helping those that can't afford such services or that might not speak the language of that country as they are a new arrival. Then they start eyeing the church accountant's job. And the current church accountant might not be a narcissist. But the narcissist might start ambient abuse with this person where it's hard to pinpoint what is happening. They just want to make this person feel so uncomfortable that over a short or a long period of time, depending on how good the narcissist is at this tactic, the church accountant will give up their role and pass it down to this new wonder person. They might also at the same time might attempt to hook up, if you know what I mean, with a married leader in the church in order to get pushed higher in rank in the church themselves. And it's these tactics and those that are on the receiving end of them that get burned out so bad. They stop going to church and stay at home and just read their Bible in private. You see, the power-seeking narcissists in the scenario will push out so many decent people. Before you know it, the church is now full of people that are backstabbing one another and spending inappropriate time with other church members' husbands and wives behind one another's back. Now, this isn't to say it's like this for everyone or every church. But this story is getting to become more and more common with the people that have told their stories to me regarding the church they used to go to. Now, though my mother could be and was power hungry, she wasn't power hungry with church. She was just power hungry over my father and myself and my brother. My mother just loved the attention she got for being the victim. And the truth is, if she would have let these people help her, truly help her help herself, I believe she could have been anyone she wanted to be. My mother was a brilliant manipulator. I mean, how my mother got people to do the many things she got them to do is something else. Yes, it's not a good thing and actually an evil thing. But if she used that brilliance to self-betterment and she had people wanting to help her too, I think she could have gone far and our lives would have turned out greatly different. Also, my mother did what she did at church to get allies, so they could testify to her character when in court against my father. It took a while before they were able to see through my mother. But by then she had the main goal accomplished. She had full custody of myself and my brother and my father out of the picture. But the power-hungry ones, they will usually show up willing to do all of these wonderful things. It's basically a form of love bombing. Even if it's just baking the most wonderful tasting cake or cookies, this person will literally rise within the ranks of church because of their cookies or cakes they just made. And they seem, and that is the key word, seem kind or nice or whatever. But watch what happens after they show up. Do people start leaving months later or a year or two later? Do they for whatever reason step down? Now, this might not mean anything at all, but it might just the same. And this is where they can now influence what is taught or what sermons are preached. And more people leave, and those with bad intent replace them. Narcissists love people that will blindly see them as a great person. Simply put, people that have no boundaries. And I think this is the problem with many churches and other parts of our lives. Boundaries aren't taught. I think it's okay to ask questions. The Bible tells us to guard our hearts, and that evil people will come as sheep dressed as wolves. And they have a goal in mind, and that is to take over so they can get supply and so they can twist the word. And yes, there are demonic people that will do that too. There are many that used to be in evil practices that said they would show up at a church to pretend to be a believer and to need help, to only gain rank and then dismantle everything they could one by one in that church. And they would do it in such a way it wasn't obvious at first. And by the time the church was about ready to close its doors, maybe it was apparent. And even then, they still might be seen as sweet and loving and kind. Narcissists use the same tactics they always use. Love bombing. Playing the victim. Edging people out that have what they want and that might be able to see them for what and who they are. And getting people to feel like they owe them something. This is why we are taught in the Lord's Prayer to go into our closet and pray in private. Now, I don't have anything against going to church. I think if you are going to church and you are getting great help and love and guidance, then great. But just know you are dealing with imperfect people. Flawed people. And if you are around enough people there, someone or someone's have to be narcissists. You can't be, in my humble cartoon opinion, be around 50 or 100 people and not have a handful of narcissists in the mix running around, doing whatever it is they are trying to do. So just be mindful. It's okay to guard your heart. Just because they are at church doesn't mean you have to tell them you just got a raise at work. Or something else important in your life. Not everybody deserves that information. Now maybe there is someone there that you want to share that with. And that's great. But just like when you're not in church. If someone takes something you said to them and twists it around even a month or a year or whenever later. Please don't debate with yourself on what and who they are. Hey, they might not be a narcissist. But they darn sure are toxic. Pray for them quietly in your mind and move on. It's not worth to debate with them. And don't debate with yourself. Slowing down at church is just as important when you're not in church. And again, I think that is the problem. I think most people think that everyone they meet at church and they are talking to from church is there for the same reason as they are. And they aren't. Some people aren't there to get closer to God, which is a shame. Which is a shame. But this is why you should slow things down and you should have boundaries. And that's it really. Churches are getting overrun by narcissists just like many other areas of life. Simply because there are no boundaries. And this is an example we can see and use within our own life. Because God is there with us holding our hand. And narcissists show up trying to break that grip we have with God. Look how narcissists showed up in our lives. And with a few slick words and fake friendships were able to ruin a great many things for us. Then you look at the church and it's the same methods. It's the same methods. Well, I think this is a great place to stop. Please leave your comments as it's always good to hear what you all have to say. I love reading your comments. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you like this content and want to view more, please feel free to subscribe and click the bell to get notified each and every time I make a new video. And if you want to support this channel and the work that is done on it, there is a Patreon link in the description box as well. And if you can't because times are tough, please know I completely understand. Just you being here is more than enough. And to many of you that leave encouraging, kind and loving words for myself and for others, I deeply appreciate you. In this lonely world, I have never had as much love as I've had here with you all. May God bless you all. With that said, I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.